A lot of pressure.
Okay. Well, thank you and welcome everybody to the Corrections and Code Enforcement Committee for March 14th, 2024. With us this morning, we have Councilman Hockett and Councilman Clay, appointed officials. We have City Attorney Paul Jensen and Finance Officer Chandra Phillips. I'm Justin Day, the Public Safety Commissioner, and then we have Jail Administrator Jeff Augsburger and Lieutenant Ethan Vober, and then the Director of Code Enforcement, we have Dan Furness. So we will go ahead and get started this morning. I'll turn it over to Jeff to go ahead and start with your reports.
Hey, good morning. We'll start with inmate population. Today's count's 143. Month average is 152, and the year average is 163. We filled the two open leadership positions we were actively advertising, one sergeant, one corporal position. Those were filled. And I got through talking with all of those, everyone that applied last week. And then we started the process for the signatures with the bank, Chandra, the bond and trust, and I have that here today. I thought maybe I'd catch you and Jody both, but we can get you, and then we have a... Okay, perfect. And then, Ethan, I think you said the two of ours are on today?
One.
We have, okay. Well, we'll have them signed by Monday and get them to you, Chandra. So yeah, we filled the sergeant, the corporal position. We also, in the last week, hired a new part-time hire. That'll be, I'm sure, in your report. And then the only other thing I had for you guys today is the IGA, the USM contract, I guess, update. I know contract specifics go to exec, so we won't, get into too many things with that probably, but I can say Chandra made time for me yesterday and come down and kind of put me through an audit, a financial audit from her standpoint to make sure she's confident in what we're putting in, reporting revenue and expenses, and if you have anything to add, Chandra.
No, I think Jeff did a very good job. One thing that we discussed, I know that not everyone loves the little point systems because they're City of Winter thing. They're not made to be there by the federal government or the state, but doing those point systems made filling out that report millions of times easier. In fact, there were things that we want to add in on a couple lines of, hey, let's break this out and this out because this contract requires us to point exactly how much we're spending on this and how much we're spending on this. Otherwise, you have to print off everything that's under that one GL code, go through, look at the vendor. Is this vendor only this, or do I have to go through and actually look at the invoices for 3 years because it's a 3-year contract? So it was very nice to see.
Yeah, it's night and day different than 35 months ago when we did it for the first time together. It was Justin, even Lori's first time. I mean, and Chandra helped then as well. And yeah, it's
35 months ago. Huh?
Yeah, they signed a 36-month contract as of April 1 of 2021. So we'll once it's submitted, and that's where there's a couple things that will get inputted. I was on the transport services side. Justin and I come up with that yesterday, so I'll get that inputted today. And then the next steps essentially is submit it and then wait for it goes right to DC. Their analytical financial people put it through there, and there will be some back and forth if there's questions or why is this, change this. But we'll keep you guys apprised, Justin especially, if I'm only in front of you every 2 weeks, but we'll keep you guys informed how the progress goes, and then inevitably there'll be, probably discussion and for that to be,
So once the U.S. Marshals officially says, yep, we're good to go, here's the price we're willing to pay, then that contract will come before full council for full council to approve it at that rate for that amount of months that they're willing to go into contract with us.
So negotiations are underway right now. When do you think you're going to conclude? How long does it usually take for these negotiations?
Trying to recall.
When the feds get it in DC, how long before
I
they
think
make
it'll be
their...
less than last time. The reason I say that is last time was our first time filling it out, and there was a lot of questions on why we did what we did.
Yep.
This
I'm
time,
sure.
it's very clearly defined. I can run a report and say, here's why we put that in there, not a
Yep.
problem. So I would say, granted, it depends on their schedule, but I would say probably 2 to 3 weeks.
Okay, well, that's not bad.
I think it took a little over, about a month, month and a half last
I
time.
think you're right, yep.
That's good.
That's what I had for you. Any questions other than that? Got quarters.
Are we fully staffed?
Full-time, yes. Yep, full-times, yep, knock on wood, very happy, blessed, fortunate for that. Everyone doing really well. I mean, people are coming off 6-month probations, happy with development. Ethan can probably speak to that. I mean, operationally, everyone's doing pretty darn well, I'd say. Given the inexperience that, we added 10 staff in the last probably calendar year, so blessing and a curse. Blessing is that we have those positions filled, and the other one is just inexperience, mistakes, teaching, learning, but that's just part of the gig. So leadership have done phenomenal with that.
Do you have another career fair coming up?
Yeah, March 27th is Brookings, I believe. Yep. And I don't recall if there's anything scheduled after that.
No, because the one, I don't remember which one it was, if it was Southeast or Lake area, but they do not have a career fair, because I had Rhonda call up there to try to get us in on that one as well.
Yep.
But they have a board where we can put our job listings and all that, so that's kind of what she did there. And then
Mark
the other
emailed
one.
us April 11th, local government days.
Yep.
And that, we get a lot in there, and last year, I think sergeant and lieutenant, they set up a table in Sally Port, because we can't obviously let them in the jail, but adjacent to it, so we can chat with local.
Yep.
Good.
And then we always have a table for that too. I think if I remember correctly from Rhonda, that, from the HR department, then ultimately we're looking at fall again before we have a lot more going on. I know MTI has one in September every year for their internships, and then another one I think in December. So some of those tech schools will be trying to hit up in the fall. I know there's at least one, maybe 2 tech schools that Troy would, Public Works would like to try to get to over in Minnesota, because they do have some specific things that do with the water sewer. So
And then we will
hopefully
hit
we'll have it done for this quarter.
that Gregory one, that's more geared towards junior, seniors. It's kind of like where all the colleges come in, or, tech schools, and people like us, to where if that's not your path, then we can still
Good.
go
Good.
forward with a career.
Great job, guys. I'm glad to hear we're full time's full. Keep pounding the drum like you are. Keep your name out there always. That's the key, Wouldn't it be a nice thing to have applicants and say, yeah, sorry, we're not hiring right now?
Yeah. There's been one turned in, not locally, lived on the other side of the state, and that was kind of, I said, I'm not used to that. We're not used to that. We had a long stint there where, my goodness, but we do have an intern already applicate. Did you see that? LEC / there were.
Oh, yeah, I did.
So, happy to see there's still interest there. We are currently advertising for part-time, because I believe we had a resignation, or 2 resignations from part-time, so filled one of those, so we're still advertising, but staying ahead of it's key, just like you said, just not falling behind, and that's how we can stay full and keep doing what we're doing.
Good.
Anything else? Okay, then we will move over to
All right, well,
Dan.
I've been focusing on the parking situation with people parking on sidewalks, been receiving a lot of complaints about that. And had a discussion yesterday with another councilman about people working on vehicles in the street. So it's something kind of been focusing on more lately. Yeah.
And parking surfaces.
Yes.
Making
yes.
sure vehicles are parked on the correct surfaces.
So what's your ordinances say about parking on a sidewalk or on a boulevard? Not allowed?
Right.
The boulevard doesn't say anything particular other than the fact that it's under the parking surfaces. In other words, if it's grass, you can't park on it.
What if it's a solid boulevard?
If it's
Concrete
a solid boulevard, we don't have a prohibition.
We do
to-
not.
Yeah, down the street from me on Sunset, there's a concrete boulevard, and it's used for parking.
And it's
Doesn't seem to
allowable.
cause a problem.
Yeah.
It's allowable to park on a concrete boulevard.
Correct.
Would that, though, fall under going up over the curb to park?
Well, you may have a problem as far as how you get there, because you're not supposed to be driving, the ordinances do prohibit going up and down, driving over the curb.
My example, they access it from the driveway.
Mm-hmm.
Driveway right there.
And I've seen several that do that. They'll access either their own or the neighbor's driveway. They'll drive onto the boulevard, park, and they leave through the next driveway.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think a case could be, I don't know if it's happening, but I think a case could be made in the other prime example that is on my mind about could back up through the driveway.
Sure.
I see they're not currently parking on the sidewalk, they're parking on the boulevard, and that's why I was just curious about it, where it's at legally. If you can park on the boulevard,
Yeah.
you can't drive over the curb to park on it, but if you backed through your driveway,
Correct.
okay, all right, that answers my questions.
We had a topic that came through ordinance committee this week, yesterday, that will be coming before council very soon. And that is that, and Dan and I had worked several times on trying to really define the legality or lack thereof of living in a in a place where there is not currently electricity or water. Under the IPC and the IBC, we could put together a strongly implied prohibition, but it's just not clearly spelled out. And so we've drafted an ordinance, and the ordinance committee gave it thumbs up yesterday, that makes it very clear that if you're in a place that is not served by water and sewer, it's an
Water and electric.
I'm sorry, water and electricity. If you don't have both, then your property you can't be staying in it.
What's the definition of served by? Because if you run
Hooked
an
up.
extension cord,
No,
that's being served by, but it would need to be a solid, direct hookup to
it's
our
gotta be a
utility
hookup.
system.
Yeah, because the extension cord is going to be contrary to the code.
Okay,
And if code doesn't allow it, then it's not a legal hookup.
okay.
Same thing with the water hose connected to your neighbor's spigot. That's not connected to.
So if I wanna live in my storage shed, like my wife kicks me out or something, and I'm gonna fix up the storage shed back there, I have electricity there, and it's solid wired to the city connections, but I don't have water.
Correct.
And if I was gonna live in there, I would need to hook onto the water line, because I can't run a garden hose from the house over there. That's not.
Correct.
Technically, there's another ordinance that covers that too, that you can't live in an accessory structured building.
Yeah, I thought they eliminated that before I was on here.
There's restrictions to it.
There.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't, I've read them, but I don't remember them specifically to be able to.
The only reason I knew that, Mr. Clay, is because we actually just had someone report into our office of, hey, so-and-so's living in their garage. And so we looked it up, and ultimately, yeah, you can't live in the garage, because
Yeah,
there wasn't the appropriate living quarters.
yeah, I think it had to have like a bathroom and maybe a kitchenette, essentially.
Okay. So you can live in an auxiliary, in a mother-in-law, you can have a mother-in-law's house on,
Right.
whatever, but it has to have a kitchen and a bathroom.
I believe so. I'm not completely certain, but it was something to
As I
that effect.
recall, I think that's right. That's
A
part of
bucket
defining
doesn't
it as
constitute a restroom.
No.
living quarters. Yeah.
No buckets, no holes in the floor, so.
I can kill another 45 minutes if you want, but
I don't know if full council was made aware, because I wasn't here on Monday, so I don't know the conversation or how it happened, but I do want everyone to know that I made a mistake.
Ha, be darned.
What? Wait, you're on record right now.
Hey, she
We're
gets,
on
she
camera.
gets one a year, it's okay.
Katie. Wow.
I did not get the new trailer, the recreational vehicle, sent to the paper in the appropriate time frame. So I apologize for that. So its first publication date was yesterday, so it'll be 20 days from yesterday that it goes into full effect, so.
I will say, that was a bad one.
I agree.
Yeah.
Yep.
I went back and looked through my emails, because after they told me, I'm like, no, there's no way. There was a way. So,
Well, thanks for owning it up publicly.
you're welcome.
That takes something to do that.
The other thing, Mr. Jensen, on that ordinance you just brought up, we found one area of concern. And ultimately, it comes down to when we shut someone off for non-payment, the first month of non-payment, only their electricity gets shut off. The second month of non-payment, then their water gets shut off. So we would want something in there that explains that it would be once both are shut off due to non-payment, then the process
Yeah,
would
that
begin.
makes sense, yeah.
Just to give them that extra 30 days to get it paid, so that as soon as they're shut off, we don't have to kick them out right away too. Most of the time, they get it paid within the 30 days, but every once in a while, we do have some situations where they don't. And then we do have some squatting situations going on throughout the city, quite a few, actually.
My thought on that was to, when you send like a disconnection notice with the electric, was to send out a notice that, you will need to vacate in a month when your account is closed. That was my kind of thoughts and workaround for what you had written up already.
Yeah, we could absolutely
Oh,
have that
that
for
would,
disconnect.
we're good.
Yeah, so that way you're giving them a month notice, and then it takes effect as soon as, then we don't have a month where people are living in those dangerous structures.
I agree, I think that's a good approach.
Yeah, it is. It
Yeah.
tells them what they're up against, draws them a picture. It
I
can't
have
be bad.
to say, I don't know, apparently I'm chatty because I was gone for a week, so I'm sorry.
That's okay.
Oh, you were gone?
Sorry you didn't miss me.
I did it. There was a huge opening. I mean, I looked over there, you're gone, I go, oh my
Huge
gosh.
void.
What can we do? What can we
Thank
do?
you. I'm feeling so much love. Since Dan has came on, he has some of these issues that we have found throughout just the utility billing, the finance side of things that really do work closely with code enforcement. He has been a godsend to us, really just taking them on, looking at our current ordinances and how we can use what's currently there and still move forward and do something about it. So, I want to say, he's doing a great job from my standpoint with working with us on getting some of these code enforcement things done that we've had some issues with. So, thank
Could you
Good.
give us
People working with the
an aw
city
shucks,
should
Dan?
be seen.
Oh, shucks. Thank you.
Oh, one other thing that you have been working on as well. I think you're just waiting on the quotes from working with Public Works Director as well. But you can kind of talk about your plans for fall time, trying to get a couple buildings dropped too.
Yeah, Paul and I have been kind of working on that, two of those, just those, there's 3 buildings on Main Street that we're kind of looking at this year, trying to do something with, but Treats and Treasures, what's the other one? The one next door to.
Rosebud photo.
Rosebud Photo Building.
Yeah, so we're kind of looking at those being a
You're kidding me,
priority.
that could
Do I have your
actually
budget here, Dan?
replace this one.
No, we don't.
Code enforcement.
Sorry.
We
Oh,
have
he was
some,
asking.
we have
Oh.
something in your budget for
No.
taking those down?
No.
No,
We don't.
because what was decided was you guys were not going to fund it, but if something came up, then we would talk about it at that time. And then you guys would
Okay.
look at cash on hand to fund that project. So that's why he's working with Troy to, because if the city guys are the ones to do that, then, just waiting for Troy to get back to him on
How
what
much
he
that's
thinks that's
for.
gonna cost with his
And
guys,
time
using
frame.
his guys, timeframes, all that. He'll get that to Dan, and then Dan will, come before you guys, and then we will work that process.
Yep, okay. You may not be aware of this, especially you, Jeff, that our budget was a little tight. We couldn't afford just to leave hundreds of thousands of dollars hanging in there.
Yes, sir.
You are aware of that? Our budget was
Very
tight.
aware of
He's
that.
heard rumors.
And the axe.
Yeah, the axe.
He already referenced that this morning.
And we do have the cash if something comes up. I mean,
I would think so,
yeah, the general fund can support something at this point in time. Granted, understanding, and I know you guys get tired of hearing me say this, but we have to look at the city as a whole because there are several big projects that you guys have told Public Works to really get started on too. So if, some of that could eat a lot of our cash too, so.
Right.
And ultimately, it comes down to your guys' decision. We'll just gather the information we need to gather, and then we'll bring it to you, and you guys make the call.
We've been waiting a long time where I'm at. If it comes to fruition that we can do that, I say we march forward and get her done.
Yep.
Not a bunch of discussion, get her done. We've been waiting.
All right, Ethan, the rest of the meeting is yours.
Yep.
Oh, you have more?
Oh, sure he does.
Oh. I was just saying, kill the feed.
Talk about college basketball.
Yeah, there you go, March Madness, yeah.
Go Zags.
I watched 2 minutes of college basketball and